what are the top 2 things or people that you've had to say no to that have been the toughest in order to say yes to your best and be where you are today?
Oh, let's see.
Because, we say that, we throw that out there like, oh, they're trade-offs, right? You say yes to this, it means you're saying no to this. What's the opportunity cost of your yes over here? So it's like those things are real. I don't know that we always talk about what's on the opposite end of the yes, particularly when you're in more senior levels of leadership. Like, what are you saying no to?
Absolutely.
By being in that seat?
Well, I'm very honest, authentic, open 100%. So I tell people all the time, you want the truth, you might want to ask
you, right?
And don't ask me. I'm going to tell you like it is. I think the biggest thing, one of my major no's was I was presented with an opportunity to travel the world and speak to school leaders. So under that fan, you have instructional coaches, you have lead teachers, you have principals, and encourage them in empower them and talk about what it takes to really marry social emotional learning with the socioeconomic challenges that you may have in less resourced areas. Mm-hmm. And if you know me, that was like, this is my jam. I love it. And I was presented with that opportunity. And then I was presented with this opportunity. And I was like, my heart's vocation. And I literally had to pray. I did what I think I made this fast up. It's called the Esther fast. This is what I call it because Esther is one of my favorite books.
You definitely made that fast.
I made it up. For 3 days, I said, it is such a time as this because I'm like, Daniel, I got to eat. But Esther, I can. I'm created for such a time as this. Lord, give me clarity and show me. And I was like, I had Venn diagrams. I had charts, Brittany. Mm-hmm. I was pulling out all of the processes from like this stuff we pull out in B school to make it make sense. Mm-hmm. And then one morning I got up and I read about the company that I was going to work for. I read about the woman. Then about a couple of hours later, I got a phone call from the woman that started the company that I worked for. And she was like, okay, I want to meet you. And the man that hired me was like, okay, we got to go to Houston. I was like, when? He was like, in like 2 days. I said, no problem. And so when I sat there and I heard her story and I heard why she created this company and why she does what she does, that was when I knew that it was what I wanted to continue because she's like, I'm retiring. I'm going to leave this to you all young people because he ended up acquiring it and bought the company, but we're still executing and living out her dream as I said 2.0. We're like the 2.0 version. So that was very hard for me because anybody that knows me about education, I love my kids. Mm-hmm. Even to this moment, I've went to their graduations, their proms, trunk parties, back and forth from Chicago when they call me. It's crazy. So that was my one. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's not been anything else. Mm-hmm. Because where I've come to now in my life is that any no for me has truly been a necessary order of his plan and his timing for me. And me choosing myself by saying, I'm going to cut the phone off at this time. I'm going to create a boundary for this. I'm going to say yes to even the things that I may not quite understand, but I know that it's mission aligned. It is truly, Brittany, outpaced, outpowered anything else that could have possibly been not in alignment. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that I can honestly say to you that I just was like, was traveling the world talking to principals about children. But now I get to sit on the other side where I can influence policy. I can create case studies. I can show how the inequities of education come from more than one source.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that we're actually doing in the communities? These children have food deserts in their communities, so their families are forced to do other things. What are you doing actually, city? What are you doing actually, ombudsman? What you doing? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the conversations that I have now. And we get to see how that change effectuates. We get to see how that change shifts just small things. We have like 10 back to school initiatives happening over the next couple of days in different wards in multiple places. Yes, it's the same ward. Yes, it's multiple places, but you have to think about the access. If the public transportation is only coming up until one point and then you have people walking 2 and 3 miles in 100-degree weather, make it make sense. So we're going to bring it to them, and we're going to continue to fight for them, and we're going to continue to bolster what it means to vote and why it's super important in those particular areas.
Yeah.